It's People to People, the People podcast of the DMV. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's about we and God we trust. Sir Rod and Lady Z, PTP. Positive thinking people. Positive thinking people. Y'all know we do this every Monday night, Motivation Monday. I'm excited. What I do is just continue to give God praise. Y'all here every Wednesday. Let's talk about it Wednesday. Yes. Yes. Good evening. Welcome to this People to People, Power to Power, Positive Thinking People. Y'all already know how we flow. I get excited every time I do this. I say the same thing every time I start. I get excited every time I do this. You know why? Because we get excited about the information that we be bringing to you. Y'all already know that we sit back and we make things happen in the studio from all angles. And, we don't stop. We just don't stop. So, y'all just bear with me. And in a few minutes, I'm going to bring my guests in and let her start to just tell y'all about some powerful information that y'all need to know, okay? And we're gonna empower you with some information that's necessary for your life. When we say life, I want you to understand life, how important that is, and the information we're gonna share. So, without further ado, why don't I just introduce, you know what? Hold on one more second before we do that, before I introduce my beautiful guest. I want to also say thank you to everyone who came out to the networking event on Sunday. It was phenomenal. It was an amazing turnout. We had close to 100 people in the house. I want to say thank you to Tony Perkins, who was in the house, Leslie Shepard, Paul Randall. We had so many different people. We had Steph Marie, the queen of poetry. We had different people. We had Beth Creations in the house. We had the author Sherman Harris. We had Frank Johnson with his book. We had Anthony Suggs with his Iron Sharpened Iron shirt and his book. And we also had Skitterscat to perform. We also had Jay Tan in the house, who also performed as well. And if it's anybody that I left out, let me tell you something. Know that we just enjoyed you being here, and we appreciate you so much. It was quite a few people that didn't make it, and we okay with that, because guess what? We get ready to come back with another one. So without further ado, let me introduce this new queen that is sitting in here with me, Miss India Brown. Welcome.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm excited. And basically, I'm really excited because of the information that I know you have to share. So, you're a life coach?
I'm a life insurance specialist.
I said that on purpose. Just said.
Yeah.
So, life insurance specialist.
Yes.
So, can you tell me what is that?
So I specialize in life insurance, but I take it a little bit deeper because I am really focused on our community, and nothing against any other community, but that's where my heart is. And I do have a unique story. But I'm really focused on our community, going back into our community and helping people that look like me and you create generational wealth and know what that is, know what it feels like, and know how to do it the proper way.
I like that, because even with me, some of us, we are just getting into the arena of understanding about having that type of wealth to be able to pass on to our family members, when others have been having this for many years. So for you to do this, first of all, I want to say thank you so much and kudos to you.
Thank you.
We need individuals like yourself. So when you're talking about, so you're an insurance specialist.
Yes.
So, okay, when you say insurance to certain individuals, they go run the other way.
Many do.
Why?
For me, and I'm going to speak for myself, in our community, I've learned that it's not sexy it's an uncomfortable topic. People don't like talking about their demise or their death, if you will. But it's deeper than that. It's bigger than that. And the reality of it is not to be harsh. None of us coming here to stay. You know what I mean? So it's important. It's just as important as you treat anything else in your life. And I personally got involved in this industry due to my own personal story and what happened to me, and that's why I'm so passionate about it.
So, do you mind sharing a little bit about your story?
Not at all, not at all. So I'm born and raised in Washington D.C. in the urban communities, right? And my mother passed away when I was 16. A very tender age, you know what I mean? Still not sure what you want to do, all of those things. And so it was a very tough time for me. But when she passed, she had little to none life insurance, right? So I was angry, confused, like, damn, I know she loved me. Why she leave me hanging? You know what I mean? And I know that if she knew the time, day, or hour, she'd have had her stuff together. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, you know what? When I get older, if I have kids, they will not experience what I went through because I had to grow up overnight. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, you know what? If I become a mother, this feeling right here, they won't experience. And growing up, and after I became a mom, I learned that life insurance was extremely affordable. You know what I mean? A lot of people shy away from it because they think they can't afford it. In reality, you can't afford not to have it. So my passion is just to go back into my communities and educate moms and families that look like me. Like, listen, for something as small as $50 a month, you can get up to $500,000 in coverage. You know what I mean? If my mom would have left $500,000 to me, life would have been different. You know what I mean? It would have eliminated a lot of struggle, a lot of confusion, a lot of hurt, a lot of turmoil. And I'm not saying money is the answer, but listen.
It makes things a little easier.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to address, and that's on several different angles, we have a tendency to look at certain things like life insurance and things of that nature, getting mental health, bringing it out to the forefront. We look at it as a stigma, but yet, because by design we are targeted to go in different directions. So for you to have that as a target to educate us, that's very, very good. And we have to, as individuals, we have to get to a point where what we do is we start to target ourselves and say, hey, we have to make a difference. When you're living and you're trying to, think about your children. See, we have a tendency to think only about day to day, but we don't think about tomorrow. And so you said at 16 years old when you lost your mom, that was something.
Yeah.
But what I always say, if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
But we have individuals like yourself out here now coming out. First of all, thank you for coming to be able to come on the program and talk about with the services that you provide. So a lot of people would look at $50 and say, oh man, I can't afford $50 a month. Is there cheaper ones or is it higher? How does that work? What's the scale? How does
So I wouldn't really say it's a scale for real. A lot of people shy away from what you just said, but insurance is very unique. You know what I mean? It's not a one size fit all. So it's about it's about starting the conversation, sitting down with someone like myself and having that conversation, because if budget is a concern, let's make sure we get something in your budget until your budget can afford more. But don't have nothing because you are afraid that, I can't afford $50. Maybe you can afford 45, you know what I mean? So let's start with having the conversation, getting in front of it, and being upfront about it, because it's needed, it's important. If I could ask my mother now, would you have paid $50 for me? Without a shadow of a doubt, she would have. You know what I mean? So it becomes urgent when they need it instead of important now.
Yeah.
And for me, it's about priorities. For me, legacy is essential for me. Maybe because of my personal story, but also my kids deserve it.
Yeah.
They deserve it. Yeah.
I think that's the other thing too. With many of us, we find where we talking about teaching our children and preparing our children to understand what is necessary for us to do moving into the future. So I'm saying we got to learn how to teach our kids to say getting insurance is insurance for your life, right? If you look at that, so What do? You get the insurance, and then you are preparing yourself for things to come. And it's inevitable on some things that's going to happen. One thing I can tell with a lot of us don't really pay close attention to it, but guess what? We all gonna die.
If we're not, tell me the secret.
I'm trying to figure it out. And what I found out in our communities, we have a lot of people that when somebody died, they struggle, and see they're not prepared. And so it's important for us to get to that point where we start to get prepared and be able to say, hey, this is important for us to do. Talk about this at the dinner table. Talk about this when you have your family gatherings. Hey, how many of y'all have insurance? We need to know that, because it's a little too late after somebody transition, and then you're running around and you're trying to figure out how we're going to take care of this.
Yeah, that whole GoFundMe situation, nothing against it at all. I just want so much more for our community. I really and truly deeply do. Yeah.
So when it comes down to that, okay, so when things happen, is it really, I guess what I wanted to ask, insurance is not just based on people dying.
No, absolutely not. It's so much more to it. And so for me, that's why it's about the conversation. It's about the relationship and the intimacy that we build with my client and myself. It's about your legacy. It's about what you want for your kids. It's about your retirement. It's about what you want for your grandkids. It's about what you want for your burial. It's all of those things. It's not just, okay, when I'm gonna die, I don't want her to bury me in the backyard. Like, let's stop that. Let's stop that. This is about legacy. This is about creating something for generations to come. And let's rinse and repeat this so that we can teach our families how to do this over and over and over again. For instance, I have life insurance, right? A lot of it, actually. And in my will, it states that my daughter has to take a certain amount of money and pay it up, $1 million life insurance policy. If she wants more, bless her, do that. But she has to do that so that this cycle can rinse and repeat. So now she has money. She doesn't have to worry about, can I afford my monthly premium? We're going to take a certain amount of money and we're going to pay your policy. Done. Paid up. And now we're going to rinse and repeat, and we're going to keep doing this. And that's how this legacy, that's how generations work continues within our community. It's a lot easier than we think. Sometimes something as small as $40 can get someone $1 million in coverage. You know what I mean? It's all based on different criteria, and every person's situation is unique. But let's first start with not being afraid of the conversation. It's a conversation.
What I think that we again we fall short by really getting all the information, and we have a tendency to not think it's important. One of the things that I want to bring up, my mother-in-law, she transitioned over a year or so ago. It seems so funny because I think it's almost 2 years now. One of the things that I saw her do, and with her daughters, she had her insurance. Everything was set. And one of the things that I thought was so powerful, that when she did transition, I watched my sister-in-law and my wife. I watched them handle things without so much stress, because their mom was smart enough to make sure everything was in order.
And they were important enough for her to make sure everything was
Come
in
on.
order. So, and I'm super excited about what we're launching now. We just launched in Maryland. We're launching in Virginia as we speak, in DC soon to come. We've just opened up a space for pre-planning, and it's just that. This pre-planning launch is so huge. What it does is it's a little bit separate from the life insurance and the legacy part of it. It's the planning part of it, right? Like when you got married, you more than likely hired a wedding planner, right? When we have our birthday parties and our huge celebrations, we hire event coordinators because we want things to go off without a hitch. Those things are important enough for us to plan, and so is our homegoing service, i.e. your mother-in-law, right? And so what we're doing is we're helping our clients, not just pre-plan, but we're educating them. We're helping them with the important documents free. We're doing our clients' wills, power of attorneys, advanced directives. We're helping our community get our issue in order, and we provide this service for free. And so we're launching in Maryland as we speak. We're already launched, and we're here in Virginia, and I'm super excited because this puts a new spin on making sure our things are in order, and so that every family can experience what your wife did, a smooth transition. Because at that time, we're grieving, we're all over the place. How nice would it be to just go to this envelope and says, Mom has spelled it all out. Everything is right here, pre-planned, paid for, done. And we can properly grieve and not have to pass the hat. You follow what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes.
And so that's the goal. That's why we're launching this pre-need launch here in the DMV. And the mission is to help 10,000 families get their issue in order.
What we want to do is also, we want to make sure that we bring you back out here into the intelligence office location where we want to, I would like to have you in our gallows room to be able to address a group of individuals. That's something I'll talk to you about a little later. We want to make sure that we start to prepare everyone. If you don't know, you don't know. But when we have an individual like yourself who's willing to come out and say, hey, I'm going to educate you, I'm going to teach you, I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you the information. It's almost like you're not going to throw nobody in the swimming pool and not teach them how to swim. You're going to give us some swimming lessons in insurance. You give us some knowledge. A lot of us out here are not taking it real serious. We have to do that. We have to take this real serious about your welfare and how you go about doing things and how people perceive you. We're talking about your grandchildren. Prepare them. We'll talk about buying tennis shoes. We'll buy suits, cars. We buy diamond rings and pearls and necklaces and all this, but we won't buy insurance.
Priorities.
Well,
That's what I'm saying.
it's confusing, isn't it?
It is. It's confusing and it's heartbreaking. Because when the situation arises, it becomes urgent to some then. You know what I mean? When it's not important enough now, and that's why I want us to get ahead of it because we deserve it. We deserve it. We do.
I want to open up the phone lines. If anyone want to call in and ask questions, the number is 703-752-6120. If you want to call in and ask Ms. Brown some questions, please feel free to do so. We are talking about insurance. It's a powerful word, and you got to think about when you say insurance, you're being prepared, and we have to do that. And so again, many of us have to practice what they preach. So when I say that, you know that you're gonna have to sit down with me and my wife, okay?
Absolutely.
We're gonna have to make that happen because one of the things, I'm not a phony guy. I'm gonna tell you something. I keep it real. I have been just like many others. We don't take it serious enough, and it's very important. How do we set our children up? Yeah, all my kids are grown, but that's still, in a way, they still my responsibility in a way. When they was in Pampers, okay? I still try to prepare something for my children so that they can prepare something for their children, which goes into my grandchildren, and then we started. I asked this question, and I try not to target anybody else, but I always wonder, why is it certain other individuals who always seem to have the opportunity to do things and we don't?
I wouldn't call it not the opportunity. I want to say maximizing the opportunity or seeing the importance of the opportunity. I think what's available is available to all. I think it's about our reach, you know what I mean, and how urgent or how important it is to us. It goes back to what you were saying about buying all the other things. For me, it's about priorities. It's not sexy to me, but it's important. And so so if my budget is $20 a month, then that's what I'm gonna put towards my legacy. You know what I mean? Just making sure that we do it, I think is key. I have an iPhone and an Android and all of those things, and if it breaks, pissed. You know what I mean? The first thing I'm doing is like, oh, I got insurance. That's important, right? But I'm not.
Come on, I like that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But we'll put insurance on the iPhone, but we won't put it on us.
What I said, it was our cars, our homes.
Oh,
but
my
without us, we can't drive those cars. We can't live in those homes. We can't use those phones. So we are the most important thing. We are the most important, and so we deserve to be properly protected too.
Okay, so that's the other thing. We want to keep it real.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you get to the point that you took this so serious?
It goes back again to what happened, what I experienced. So, and then becoming an adult, I dived into other things. I was in the real estate and had a regular 9 to 5 job. My father, who passed away just 3 years ago, used to drive a cab, and he called hacking, right? And so, as a kid, I was always in the cab with him. And we were hacking. We were picking up passengers, and he would always tell me, "India Brown, call me by my whole name. It's like you need to look at the insurance industry. I sold insurance for years, and he told me from an income perspective, it's an environment that will never go away. And as a kid, like that, no, you know what I mean. And then as I got older, my father became ill, and he moved in with me, so I had to care for him for about 6 to 8 years. And I couldn't do my 9 to 5 anymore. I couldn't because of the amount of time it took to care for my dad. So I have to create an income that's going to allow me the flexibility. And so I was like, you know what, Dad, I'm going back to what you said. I'm going back to insurance. He was like, I'm proud of you, and get proud. And it gave me the flexibility, it gave me the freedom, and it afforded me the life to be able to take care of my dad and my kids.
So with that said, so let me share something with you. This is the other thing that I really really like. And so we talk about insurance, but I'm gonna show you how things work. As a parent, we have to prepare our children. See, your dad was preparing you. He was planting a seed that got watered and then grew into a situation where you are now planting seeds for others. Kudos to your father.
Yes,
That's an amazing thing. That's one of the things I talk about as far as like with my grandchildren and me trying to do the podcasting and getting out here doing the networking and doing these things. I want my kids to understand, don't sit back and just become a truck driver. Don't just become a doctor or lawyer. I mean, it's other things that you can do. And when you find out that you have a skill, utilize it. God gives us all skills to use. If you're a good person, and let me tell you, not everybody can sell insurance.
No, it's not easy. Trust me, it's not easy, especially trying to communicate and get through our community. It's not an easy task. I've wanted to give up plenty of times, but I'm passionate. I'm on a mission, and this is my real true mission. So I won't stop. But it's not easy.
But that's one of the things that I'll be thinking about as I move forward, and I'm thinking about in this country. We're talking about where we are. When we was in the pandemic and people was receiving those little stimulus checks and stuff like that, I was listening to conversation publicly. I was listening to it on the news. I was saying, you know what they were saying about people was getting them checks? They said most of them was going to run right to Walmart. They're going to go in there and buy some TVs. They're going to buy this. They're going to buy this. I'm serious, right? They were saying this, and I was watching them, and a lot of people got them stimulus checks, and that's what they was doing. Going to buy some shoes, and they was going to buy some, different things. Or the girl, she wanted her nails done. She wanted to got her nails done. Or he wanted to get that fresh haircut and get that pinky ring, whatever. And, instead of thinking about saying, you know what? Somebody who said something was real powerful? T.I. T.I. said, let me tell y'all something. Take them checks, set them aside. Figure out how to come together collectively and invest them into something that's going to be there, that's tangible for you in the future.
Yeah.
So we talking about things like insurance. We're talking about being prepared. And that's, again, I want to say thank you because, it takes a unique individual to say, hey, I want to do this when it's not easy. Now, let me tell you something. I guarantee you, if I was selling women's shoes and fingernail polish, I ain't going to have no problem. I probably could knock on your door and you're going to listen to me. But now that I can see you be saying, okay, I'm going to buy some shoes. And what color is that blue? What kind of insurance do you have? Huh? What are you doing to protect yourself? You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's where we need to be. And so again, I keep saying that because it's good that you're coming out and educating people and taking the time, not just doing it for the financial growth, but I'm talking about to get us so that we have the opportunity to learn something. We talked a little bit before you said come on the program, and you said that you do this with a passion.
I do.
And that's what I like. Sometimes, we have people just do things just because of, but when you're doing it with a passion, with a purpose, And as you said, you're trying to educate us. So again, as many of us, we have to get to a point when it's individuals like Ms. Brown, that's out here. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to sit down with her and talk about your future. Don't be afraid to talk about transitioning. Let me tell you something. We all gonna die. And I found out something else. Guess what?
What's that?
In this whole world, it ain't nothing free.
Nothing.
So you paying to go to the gas station and put air in your tire. You used to go drink out of the water fountain, but it ain't healthy to do that no more. So now what we do, we drinking them out of plastic bottles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? Also, it costs to die. It costs to transition. Mm-hmm. And the bad part about that is the person who transitioned is already on their way going to wherever they going on whatever level. But I can tell you this, the ones who left back here, they still got to deal with that bill, that burden of, hey, somebody calling and saying, this is something, necessary. Right.
That's where the pre-planning comes in. It allows us to get ahead of it. It allows us to prepare ahead of time. Also, pre-planning is very essential as far as making sure that your wishes are spelled out. You know what I mean? So that pre-planning gets ahead of if you pass away, pre-planning allows your family to know all of my wishes are here and this is what I want, this is how I want things to go, and it's all paid for, and it's just right there.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, again, it's important for us to be able to get that information out and let people know what we bring to the table. Get them where they understand. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Get us to a point where we say, okay, let us have somebody come out and talk about insurance. We talk about everything else. Again, we have to talk about these things, and it's important for us to really, really get into a good position to say, hey, it's a powerful thing for us to get the right information so we know how to prepare our children, how we prepare ourselves for things to come. So I saw you. Did you share with that? No. Okay. Just speak a little bit up into the mic.
Okay. All right. So we're also doing workshops too. We're partnering with local funeral homes and local churches, and what we're doing is we're doing workshops. We're educating the community. We're helping them get their legal documents prepared for free. So we will be announcing that pretty soon. We're helping people do their wills, their power of attorneys, advance directives, getting that part straight and in order. I had a girlfriend who passed away a few years ago. She worked at the Department of Education. She had life insurance on the job. She didn't have her own life insurance. She had life insurance through her job. And she had one daughter, and her daughter was named the beneficiary. Because when she passed away, her daughter was a minor, that money is held. So her daughter still doesn't have access to it. So something as simple as getting your legal documents prepared ahead of time could have eliminated. Her daughter ended up in foster care. Right. Got bad, got ugly. But just making sure that all of our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted beforehand can help eliminate a lot of turmoil, a lot of heartache. I think about her daughter often, and I wonder how she's doing, because we know our foster care could go either way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I just want to make sure that our community is educated and well prepared.
I think the other thing that really bothers me is in our community as well, we are selfish in giving the knowledge. I don't want to offend nobody. I really don't, but I'm gonna keep it real. That's one thing about me. I'm gonna speak my piece and I'm gonna say what it is. Let me tell you something. We got people that are parents, grandparents, that don't talk about their insurance because they be like, you know what? After I die, what the hell? But let me tell you something. We should not be looking at it like that. We should be looking at it like this. I want my grandchildren to be able to have a good life. I want them to be prosperous as they move into tomorrow. I don't want them to struggle like me. It's back when we thinking many, many years ago, and I would say back in the 60s, a lot of our grandparents used to sit us down and talk about going to church, going to get an education, because they said you wanted to have a bright future, right? Okay, so why don't we talk about insurance? Why don't we talk about these things to say, hey, if I transition tomorrow, you have a policy that'll help you be able to bury me. Also, put you in a position that you might can take off a month or two and relax and be able to recuperate from the loss of my presence.
Legacy. And
Yeah.
that's what it really is about in our community. That's what I'm passionate about. Creating generational wealth and help establishing and maintaining our legacy. It's important. You know what I mean? I can ask 100 people, like, what's your great grandfather's name? A lot of us won't know. But if your great granddad left you $100,000, I bet you know his name.
Come on.
You've heard stories about him in the family millions
Yeah,
of times,
yeah,
right? Right.
yeah.
But legacy.
Yeah.
Legacy. It's important. My grandchildren are going to know my name.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
So do you and your daughter really sit down and talk about your policy and say everything that she knows everything she needs to do?
I have a 16-year-old. I have 2 adult children too, but my 16-year-old can regurgitate in their sleep. You know what I mean? Because she's heard mommy say it over and over again. She knows the importance of generational wealth. We have those intimate conversations. Mom, if something happens to you, where am I going? Who's going to care for me? What is this?
Come on,
Where is
yeah.
this? Like, we're having those conversations. And I don't force it on her. We're not doing it regularly, but she knows. You know what I mean? Because I'm hoping to pass away at 99, with my family around me. That's my wish. But if I don't, this is where this is, and this is what I want you all to do.
That is, I love that. I think that's so powerful again, to be able to put us in a position where we are able to have our children to see how we could be blessed, even in the transition as we move forward. And so, a lot of us need to get to a point where we are really focusing on giving them the proper education and letting them know what's going on as far as like having insurance and having these policies and knowing what you want to do. My mom is 92 years old. God bless her. My mom is still living, and my mom is, we have a situation where we've had some talks, and my mom. I remember one time she was like, my mom is she is, because she still sings, but she's gospel singer, right? And I remember my mom telling us, she said, when I transition, I want you to bury me in my robe. Now, okay, how important is that for somebody to have their last wishes to be fulfilled, right? But what we want to do is not just because she said bury her in the robe, but we also want to make sure that even as we bury her, that it's done properly, without struggle.
Without struggle. And it goes back again to the pre-need and the pre-planning. We give out our clients forms and paperwork to fill out, and it gets intimate just like that. What do you want to wear? What song do you want to be played? Who do you want to preach your sermon? Who do you, all of those things. We help them. If they want to get that deep with us, we take them by the hand and help them get that deep, because we do know, we've all witnessed it. Unfortunately, when that time comes, your mom wants to be in a robe, but it might be sister over here to be like, no, I like this one. But no, this is spelled out.
Yeah.
It's right here. Mom wants this.
Yes.
It's done, it's set, it's paid for. That's pre-planning. That's
like
how
that.
intimate, that's how precise it gets.
But that's how it was done with my mother-in-law. I saw it. My mother-in-law paid for a plot. She wanted to be, we had 2 services for her, because she wanted to be transferred back down to where she's originally from. All of that was planned out. When I saw that, I was so, I was really, really proud of her as an individual, that she took it upon herself to be prepared to be able to bless her children as she transitioned. And that's where you find a person not being selfish.
You hit it on the head. But think about the peace that your wife and her siblings, experience, and not the headache and the panic and the chaos and the fighting and the bickering and the back and forth. And it can get ugly sometimes. We all know that, right?
Yeah.
Pre-planning eliminates all of that.
Yes.
All of it.
I again, it's important for us. Everyone just out there just tuning in. This is People to People with Rodney Grimes. You already know how we do. I'm telling you, this is an amazing opportunity for you to get some information. I had Miss India Brown in here with me. She is an insurance specialist. And when she said that, I already knew from some of her conversation. I like it, the fact that what she said is you can talk to her and they can take you on a personal ride where you will be able to understand exactly what's going to happen step by step.
Step-
So that's really really important for us to understand. And so for many of you, what I would like for you to do is take the time to tell them how to get in touch with you.
Sure, I'm everywhere. I'm on all social media platforms at India Insures. On Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. So you'll find me at India Insures. And my website is www.indiainsures.com.
And so when people set appointments with you, do they come to you or you go to them?
Either way, it's always a personal choice, a personal preference. So when they click the link on my calendar, they can choose if they want a knee-to-knee, face-to-face conversation. We have a lot of young people who, are busy and like to have their appointment over the phone. Some of them maybe want to come meet me at the office. So it's really up to the individual how they set the appointment.
And now when you do this, let's go back to the pricing. $50 is not a lot to be able to have your family in position to be able to put you away properly. Now, okay, let's don't talk about dying.
Okay.
Let's talk about
Living.
let's talk about living.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
let me speak to living. Life insurance is called life insurance, right? And people always associate, well, I gotta die. Okay. Jamie Foxx, I love him, right? And we all know he's experiencing some health issues right now. We don't know what, because it's a little bit secretive, but we've heard he suffered a stroke, right? But let's talk about us, because we're not Jamie Foxx.
okay.
What if we suffered a stroke? How would that look for you financially? Did you think about what that would look for you if you had to be out of work for months at a time or years at a time? Life insurance has something called living benefits. It's not always about dying. It's in case you get ill, you become critically, chronically, or terminally ill. Life insurance, the new life insurance, has what we call living benefits, and it pays you to keep living. So let's say you had $1 million policy, right? And God forbid you had a stroke. You can take up to 80% of that $1 million and use it to live, to pay for alternative medicine, to travel the world, to do whatever you want to do is yours, right? It's given to you through the insurance company, through your policy, because that's what living benefits does. It helps you to keep living. And that's the important thing. A lot of people don't think about that. Okay, so a lot of times before we pass away from an illness that we have endured prior, right? So how did you live through that? You know what I mean? Cancer is not a death sentence, but sometimes it might just take a financial impact to make sure that your mortgage is paid, your lights stay on, and that money can help you focus on living and not, the strain of everything else that you have to deal with. So I stress to all of my clients, especially the mothers that I work with, please make sure that you have life insurance with living benefits, because cancer has no one name on it, heart attack, strokes. No one raises their hand and says, I want cancer today, right? But it happens. Someone is diagnosed every single day. And living benefits helps you financially get through those illnesses. So,
That's just, again, that's amazing. What I really love about this, and I'm gonna be honest with you again, I learned something. I'll be 63 in a couple of weeks, and it's funny some of the things that I'm actually learning here in my age of wisdom.
Okay.
And when I'm talking about insurance and things like this, my goddaughter husband, he does insurance. He tried to talk to me about it. I kicked it to the side. I didn't take it serious. But when my mother-in-law passed away, I'm gonna tell you something. It did something to me. She's one of my biggest fans that I ever had during the process of me doing anything in production. She watched the show on a regular basis, and I watched her how she had talked to her daughters. She was open about it, and it wasn't a bad taboo conversation. We have a tendency to think that certain things we don't talk about. We don't talk about sex. We should talk about sex with our children. You should let them know the difference between sex, making love, and being abused and used. People don't talk about these things. So why not talk about death and insurance and life and how you can invest? Let me tell you something else my mother-in-law had showed me doing, and I saw her do that. You could borrow off of your policies.
Sure can.
See, a lot of people don't even understand that.
And with living benefits, you don't have to pay that money back. If you suffer an illness and you take a lump sum from the insurance company using your living benefits, that's money that you do not have to pay back. But there are policies, like you said, that you can borrow against. They're called whole life policies. They build cash value. People use life insurance not just for death. You use it for long term care. You use it to subsidize your retirement. You use it for investment purposes. You use it for generational wealth. There's so many things that life insurance can do. And my goal is to make it sexy. To
Yeah.
make it people want to talk about it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Make it interesting and fun because it's not a fun conversation. You know what I mean? All the time. So I try to reach people where they are and let them know not only is important, you don't have to be afraid to talk about it. Let's talk about your retirement. Let's talk about what it looks like if you have to go into assisted living. You know what I mean? Everybody in assisted living did not raise their hand and say, this is where I want to be. That's where they are, right? Because life and illnesses and all of it put them there. How's that being paid for, right?
That's
So all of the things
that's
are
amazing.
important.
That's amazing.
Right.
I tell you that, for us as individuals, we get into situations where we do not really understand the importance of sharing the information to put us where we're able to say to our children and to our grandchildren, say, look, we can make a big difference. We can make a difference by giving them the information about insurance, about education, about just building relationship within, even in the real estate. You said you was you was in real estate one time,
Yeah.
right? And even that still is you creating
Generational wealth.
generational wealth. I tell you, many of us are not looking at it and saying, hey, this is the proper thing to do, but I'm going to tell you, it is important that we definitely make sure that we educate our children and tell them about what's going on, because that's something real important for us as we move forward. We got different things to take place, and people will say, you know what, my kids didn't know anything about it. They didn't understand. But we got to be able to educate them. I like it that you said you sit down with your daughter and you talk to your daughter and you tell your daughter, say, look, this is what's going on. This is what's necessary for you to become better. This is how you're gonna protect yourself. And when she's not gonna stay 16 forever. She's going to church. Even with us, here, a lot of us. Now, what happened? Back in the 60s, we had a lot of times that the parents was telling us more about God, and they was telling us about this because they was trying to get us spiritually prepared.
Right.
I'm not telling you don't tell your kids to get spiritually prepared. You want to tell them that, but you also want to tell them how to generate that financial backing that's going to help you if you become sick. If you become, we talking about strokes and things of that nature as you go older.
Yeah.
And something that I think is really powerful, and I think that we're going to have this discussion, because I used to hear my wife always say, I want to have insurance policy on this kid or that kid, and I used to listen to her, and she always say, we just have to be prepared. Do we got some questions?
Yes, Rachel Pope wants to know, can you still get the living benefits when you have a pre-illness?
A pre-existing condition? The answer to that question is yes and no. So it's not going to cover anything that's already pre-existing. But so let's say if she's dealing with cancer right now, right, as an example, and later on she has a heart attack, her living benefits will kick in and help with that, but nothing that is pre-existing. I hope that answers your question.
Well, okay, so let me say this. So if a person, that's the other thing. I hear these insurance policies, they say, oh, you don't have to get physicals and stuff like that. Is that?
That's true. There are insurance policies out available that where no medical exam is required. So again, it's a very personal, intimate conversation. It's not for the masses. Life insurance is about your age and your health. So that's why it's unique to that person. So there are policies where no medical is required. But what happens is when people submit an application for insurance, the insurance company checks their medical records. And based off of what they see, they can say, we require a medical, right? They have the right to do that based off the information in your medical history. They base it off of your prescriptions, they do a prescription check, and they check your health records as well. And then there are some people, and then there's sometimes if you stay below a certain amount that you're asking for, there are no medicals in that case as well. There's some policies that call guaranteed issue, where it's just guaranteed you don't even have to answer any medical questions. There's so many types to fit all the different needs. So I don't want anybody to be afraid, like, oh, I can't get coverage. No, there's something out there for everybody. It really is.
So as an agent, are you in a position to be able to offer that to them?
Absolutely, but again, it's still unique to that individual. They have to be forthcoming about their conditions and all of it, because once we submit that application, the insurance company is going to, do their due diligence and make sure that they're insuring the right person and that what they're answering on their application is truthful.
Okay, and now I'm getting ready to get technical. I'm getting ready to get real technical.
Okay.
So what happens when after you got the insurance and the person in transition? Does it get complicated to to be able to cash in your policies? And I don't know if people really feel comfortable talking about that.
But that's what this is about. So no, it doesn't have to be complicated. It's all a process. And so again, that's why I talk about pre-need and I talk about life insurance. For me, pre-need and pre-planning is specifically for that. It's going to pay your funeral hours after you pass away. Your life insurance is for your legacy. So what happens is a lot of people think, oh, I have life insurance and it's going to cover my funeral, and it does. But that is a process. When you pass away, that's a process. The funeral home or your church or whomever your family has to file a claim. The insurance company have to do their due diligence. Claims are paid out, but they're not paid out in 24 hours and 48 hours most times with life insurance. It's a process. They have to find out to make sure that that person, their certificate, all of those different things have to come together before that claim is paid out.
Right. Okay. So, but is it in a position where some of the insurance you don't have to go through all that?
Some of the insurance, meaning the questions, you don't have to answer certain questions if you want a certain type of insurance. But filing a claim and getting a policy are two separate things. Filing a claim is a different process from submitting your application for life insurance. The claim, what you're asking for, is after someone has transitioned. What is that process? So your family, and that's another reason why we need to have these conversations.
Yes.
Sometimes we have insurance and we don't even know where the paperwork is.
Yes.
So I think she had it, she says she had it, but where is it? Have these conversations so when that time comes, your family can put their hands on these documents. So a lot of times things are held up simply because we don't know what things are. We don't know where the policy is. We don't know where the paperwork is. So a life insurance company is not going to know that so-and-so passed away. They're not going to call you and be like, hey, you're going to have to file a claim. You're going to have to know what your mom, what your dad has. Have these conversations so that we are well prepared.
So what about grandparents? Grandparents who thinking about their grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
How do you look at that for them to put in insurance on their grandchildren? You think that's a good idea?
I think it's an excellent idea. I'm not a grandmother yet, but I'm sure going to be one day, right? I'm going to do it for my kids, my grandkids. I think it's all about legacy for me and what's important to you. So if a grandparent wants to do that for their grandchild, I support that, absolutely.
Yeah, because actually that's kind of like again, you preparing them. So if you start the insurance policy while they're young and pay into it, so that's the other question I wanted to ask you too. Okay, so is it that you just pay on it for the rest of your life, or do you pay a certain amount and then you don't have to pay anymore?
Excellent question. And that goes back to the type of insurance that you have. For whole life, generally when you're insuring a child, that's the only option. It's a whole life. The younger they are, the less you're going to pay and the more affordable it is. But whole life is for you to pay it for your whole life. So you pay that until that person transitions. But then there are things that are called 10 pay, 20 pay. You can pay it for a certain amount of time and be done as well. So it's all about the conversation, right? Going back to having a conversation and then having that intimate conversation about what you need, what's important to you. You may not want a 20 pay. You might want to pay your whole life. So it starts with having the conversation and finding out what's important to you and what your individual needs are.
I'm gonna be honest with you. You are exciting me.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Really, you are getting me excited about now wanting to know more about insurance. I can honestly say that I had some people talk to me about it. I had a guy one day, I forget where he was. He knocked on the door and he was a real nice guy. I forgot how we met him, and he said, "Look, man, I just need to tell you about insurance." And I was like, "Yo, for real, man, I'm getting ready to eat dinner. I ain't even trying to hear that right now." And so he was like, "Okay, well, I'll call you next week." I was like, "Yeah, call me next week." He called me and I was like, "Yo, man, I'm getting ready to go see my mom." I was kicking it all to, I wasn't taking it serious. But now I'm sitting here listening to you. I promise you, I can't wait for you to make an appointment to sit with me and my wife. Okay? I need you to do that. Because there's other questions that I know that I need answered. But I need to see how to put myself in a position that I can do some things to make it so that my kids won't be struggling, or if something happened to me, my wife won't be struggling, or vice versa.
Vice versa.
And it's very, very important. Now, I'm going to ask you another question,
Okay.
because they popped in my head now.
All right.
Do they have insurance that covers couples?
Yes and no. Again, insurance is unique. An insurance company is going to insure you, Rodney, based off of your age, your health, your medical history, right? And then the same thing for your wife.
Right.
So there are policies like where you can add a spouse on. It's not going to be as a great of a policy as her having her own individual policy.
Right.
It's like what's called a rider. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you hear, well, I can add my child on as a rider, but people don't understand. And if you're the main insurer and you pass away, now your child doesn't have any coverage because we're ready to put your claim in. So you're not paying on it. You're not here anymore. You're not paying on it.
Right.
So that rider coverage goes away. So it's always important to have your own. Insurance is very unique and very personal. Yeah.
I mean that's good to know. Again, here we are. These are the questions that people need to know. These are the questions that you need to ask. This wise is good too. I'm not just going to sell Miss India because I think that she's a nice person, but I'm talking about if you ain't going to talk to her, talk to somebody.
Please.
That's what I'm saying. What she's telling us is that we need to educate ourselves on how to go about this. We already know. Let me tell you something. You're not promised tomorrow. So many people have transitioned in areas where they weren't prepared, and then everybody's looking and they're saying, well, what are we gonna do? They getting GoFundMe's and calling their friends, and I'm not calling. I mean, I literally know somebody who was talking to me recently, and they had somebody transition. He was like, man, I don't know where we're gonna get no money from. You know, but what's happening is that we in our community, we have to talk about these things. It is imperative that we as individuals, we do this. We make sure that we talk to our family members, we talk to our grandchildren, we talk to our loved ones. I'm talking about spouses. You can land in and talk about again going on a trip to Hawaii. Start talking about possibly if you're going on that trip and don't come back. And I don't. I sometimes it's just you could say it's being straightforward, but I remember a while back during the pandemic, people was going over to DR and they was
not making it back.
they wasn't coming back.
They weren't making
And I wonder how many of them went over there. Let me tell you something. They went over there for, excuse me, and I ain't trying to be funny, but I'm keeping it real. They went over there for a vacation and came back in a casket or in a bag, in a plastic bag. And that's reality. So what we're talking about, you've got to be prepared. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know, as you came in to this podcast, you're seeing what we're doing today here on People to People. What do? We bring individuals like Miss India Brown. We bring her in so she'll be able to talk to you and give you the proper information. We making sure that it's individuals like this that we are sharing this information on the level, and we're not charging you. We saying this for free. The worst thing that you can do is say, I don't know, when somebody gave it to you for nothing. They gave it to you freely.
I want to say if there's somebody out there that would like a free will done, power of attorney, important documents done, again, we're offering this service for free. If you have questions, if you would like, to come and sit with me and have that done for you, I'd be glad to.
Hey, wait a minute, can you put the camera on me? Because I got my hand up. She just said, you doing some wheels?
Yeah.
Look, wait a minute, let me put both of them up, because let me take, look, when I tell you, we always, everybody, that's one thing, something else about us, though, we always want something for free. But, really,
It's okay.
you know what, I am so thankful for you to be able to come on and to be able to get this information, and I want to sit down with you. I'm just excited about what you shared with us today. We still got a few minutes left. What I'd like for you to do is make a promise to me that you'll come back and we can talk more about it.
Absolutely, I definitely will. I just went to dinner, funny story, with my daughter yesterday. Just her and I sat down and had dinner. And I guess somebody was shooting me a shot. I don't know. He came up to speak. And my daughter said, you got life insurance? You want to talk about, you want to talk to my mom? Is it about life insurance? Like, so she's on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in front of it too. It's important. It's
Did,
important to
did,
me,
did,
right?
did he back up? Did he
backed
back up?
and he was like, my bad, how you doing? He was like, so you sell insurance? I gave him my card, we gonna talk next week, thanks to my daughter. So yeah, she's looking out for me.
Hey, but you know what that is? That's grooming. what did Pops do when you was riding in the cab?
Super proud.
Come
Super
on.
proud. Super
Man,
proud.
Pops said, I'm gonna prepare my baby.
Super proud.
And that's what we gotta do. We gotta prepare each other. We gotta get to a point where we take this very, very serious. I wanna be real, real serious about where we at today. Let us stop taking everything for granted. Don't nobody really owe you anything. You owe yourself. It's up to you to make a difference. You know, if you do not check into policies and you don't check into things for your health, we had a networking event the other day, and when somebody says something that's real profound, I like to share it, but I don't try to make it like it's my idea or something that I came up with. So I got to give kudos to Steph Marie, the poet. She said, how many of us in this room go get a physical or ask to go get a physical for your health, for your body, right? And everybody in that room raised their hand. And then when she asked, how many of us go get a physical for your mental, I ain't see one hand go up. I should have raised mine because I do have a psychiatrist and a therapist. Okay. What I'm going to ask for our viewers, how many of us have life insurance? How many of us are really preparing our children for their future? How many of us are having these conversations? How many of us can raise our hand? Give us something to think about. When she said that, I thought about that. We don't worry about getting some muscles and trying to pump it. Right now, I'm working on losing my stomach. Okay? That's one of my goals, right? But am I working on being prepared for my transition? And do I have a will already ready? And these things. You got some questions for me?
I have two coming from Rachel. She says, could I take out insurance on somebody's child that's not related to me? That's her first question.
That's not related to it? Well, if it's her stepchild, yes, that's an insurable interest. If you're taking care of, you're financially responsible for the child. If you're her aunt or guardian or something, yes, absolutely you can. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, wait a minute before you ask that next question. So that means that you can't say if I got a good friend of mine, and me and him cool, and I say, you know what, man, I'm gonna take a insurance policy out on him. Can you do that?
Okay, so yes and no. You have to have an insurable interest. If you and your friend are in business, right, and you would lose financially if he passed away or got sick, that's key, man. That's insurance. You have an insurable interest. The insurance company is going to want to know why you want insurance on someone who's not related to you, and you would explain we're business partners, or I gave him a loan, and this is a term policy that's going to last until the loan is repaid, and then so you have to have a reason and an insurable interest. To answer your question, yes, you can, but you have to have an insurable
So if
interest.
Kiko is just being a knucklehead and running around, and I know eventually he getting ready to get popped, I can't put no
I
insurance.
mean, eventually we are going to go, but you can't get insurance on him just because he's a knucklehead.
Okay, all right, I get that. What's that question there, ladies?
Do people take out life insurance on animals?
So, good question. My daughter, Ania, and I wish I had her information, so if y'all want her information, contact me. My daughter sells pet insurance. Yes, that does exist. And my 16-year-old has her own business. Please contact me for her website, because I don't know about her. But to answer your question, yes. And if you want coverage for your pets at home, please reach out to me so that I can give you my daughter's information. Yes, you can insure your pets.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, here we are. We coming down to the wire. Again, I am so pleased to have had Miss India, and it was an honor to be able to
Thank
sit
you.
down and talk with you. I'm hoping that this was a blessing to those who are looking at the program. Remember that you can see this again also on TEP TV. We are on Roku. You can actually go on to YouTube and you can subscribe to our program to show support. Don't forget to also, we have our Cash App, which is the $ RG1960. That's the $ RG1960. we ask everybody to let's change the way we're going about things. Let us get to a point where we network and we show love to each other. Let us get to a point where we get out here and what we call, we said is creating what?
Generational wealth.
Generational wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. It's people like Miss Brown that's out here doing it. She's educating her children. She's educating her neighbors, friends. She's educating all of us and doing it on a level that is not really going to cost you nothing to sit down and talk to her. So y'all make sure y'all follow up with her, see what information she's going to be able to share with you. And I'm going to tell you, for y'all that think y'all going to be the first one to go about that free will, guess what? I'm already there. I'm going after that. I thank you so much, Ms. Brown, for coming in. It was my pleasure to just sit down and chat with you. This is what we do at People to People.
Thank you. I came out Sunday. It was an awesome event. I'm so glad that I came. I met a lot of good people. I love the poet. I'm so happy. So thank you for having me Sunday, and thank you for having me today.
And I can just tell you that we got something else coming up real soon. And we're going to have it where we're going to be able to really do this on a regular basis. We also get ready to do an expansion with our program. We got different people that's doing things from all over. But today was about Miss Brown. Miss Brown, Miss India Brown, coming in and sharing us with her information and insurance. Again, you're going to be able to get her on all platforms. You can just go ahead and you said it's India Brown.
It's India Insurance, INDIA, INSURES, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, India Insurance.
Well, you got a couple of minutes to tell them what you want them to know. You go ahead and encourage us out and just share that information with them. Again, you got you want a message you want to send to them. Let them know what's going on.
So I just want to say again, thank you for having me. Again, the mission is to go back into the community and help 10,000 families who look like you and I. Again, you can reach me at India Insurance on all platforms, and you can go to my website www.indiainsures.com. That's it. Thank you.
And y'all know that that's what we do. And let me tell you something.
Can I ask
Oh,
something
no,
else?
go ahead.
So again, I forgot to mention, not only are we here to help and protect our community, but our agency is looking for agents. This opportunity is so underserved and so needed that we are looking for agents. For those who want to join a dynamic team and help spread this wealth in the community, we are definitely looking. So if you know of another life insurance agent or agent who is looking for another opportunity, we just launched in Virginia, we're open in Maryland, and DC soon to come. And we're in 38 states, so please reach out if you're looking to join this opportunity.
Y'all heard it here, People to People. I'm telling you, this is an amazing thing for us. Lady Z, can you go to one for me? I appreciate everybody that y'all, this is just an amazing opportunity for us. Again, we had Miss Brown to come in, and we got some other things coming up down the line that's going to really be something really beneficial to you. Y'all stay tuned. Remember, it's Motivation Monday. Let's talk about it Wednesday and Friday date night. We send peace and blessings to you, and we thank you so much for joining in. Thank you. I appreciate it. That wasn't so bad, was it? Yeah. So I'm excited about what's going on with you, how things is working, and I just want you to come back and share. I got some other things I'll talk to you about down the line, so we can do what we